Welcome, everybody, to Navigating Change, the podcast from Teibel Inc. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm here with...
the handsome Pete Wright. Nice.
No. Oh, my goodness.
Did I do that? I did.
Yeah, you did it. I mean, you're
so how
right.
Are you,
You're correct.
Give me a quick update of your life.
I'm good. I'm
the
feeling
good stuff.
good, Howard. Yes, no. You don't want me to tell the truth?
No, don't go there. Just tell people, don't give out your Social Security number. Is that all we should say?
Do you know what? Way too soon. Too soon.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Howard's joking because I'm having my
not
identity.
Joking. It's not funny.
No, you're making fun of me because my identity is being stolen. I'm resolving that.
Me.
I don't even remember who I am. That's the joke around my house. My wife comes around the corner and she says, what's your name? Are you making dinner tonight? It's awful.
I'm sorry you're dealing with this. You're the first person I know dealing with it at that level. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's pretty stupid. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about something else. Last week we talked about we got into it a little bit about what presidents and chancellors and cabinets are dealing with today. And you, I think, gave us a great summary of what each of these bodies are dealing with from large publics, liberal arts, community colleges, and for-profits. We kind of went through the four categories as you see them of schools, classes of schools. Mm-hmm. And this week we're talking about another big theme in this same direction, which is the need for authentic collaboration.
Or who's really in charge. And I'll tell you who's really in charge. I'm just going to go right at this one, Pete, okay?
I dare you to tell me who's really in charge.
The faculty are in charge. The faculty run your institutions.
Wait, are you being serious? Because you just made my day.
No, they do. Or, and this is what makes administrators smile. Or faculty think they run the institutions.
No, you just took it away. You giveth and you taketh away.
I give and take it. But see, what's interesting about they think they run it is administrators are stymied by the idea about what it means to think about faculty running an institution. I can tell you, the more I work with faculty, I just came back from a retreat, 25 faculty members at a small design school trying to reinvent who they are. And what I'm discovering the more I'm working with faculty is I think faculty get a really bad rap. And a lot of it has to do with administrators just don't know how to deal with people who have a different way of thinking and a different way of approaching their work. And the way higher ed's played out, I'm discovering, and
is it administrators are from Mars and faculty are from Venus? Is that where we're going?
Yeah, it's worse. It's like Saturn and Venus. See, I hate to have it come down to power, right? Politics and power, but that's how it really plays out. Faculty run the institutions, or they think they run it. In some cases, they really do. And you really need to slow down if you're in the administrative world and really take the time to understand where they're coming from. And boards, they're not understood on campus, and they're also insulated by design, and presidents are often in this in-between stage, or their job is to keep the peace, right? They want the boards to see that things are moving along nicely. The faculty are not trying to run the presidents out of town. And what I'm discovering over time is that success for many presidents and cabinets is simply an absence of collective dissent. That's pretty sad, isn't it?
Yeah, Dilbert.
I've had some.
It's horrible.
I've had projects where the success was measured by that there wasn't a collective negativity about the results of the project. And that's it. That was it. And by the way, I don't think that's it. I mean, I think that there's some profound wisdom in this, because the collective dissent, think about the different leadership bodies you have. You've got academics, you have students, you have who play a leadership role, especially in government. You've got the boards, and you have the administrators. So in terms of success, the bar can, in some cases, be really low. The problem about real change is in higher education, it requires collaboration, not cooperation. See, I think the best we have, for the most part, is decent cooperation. Because how it really works is this. Faculty exert power over cooperation. Administrators exert power over resources. Boards exert power over leadership. And that's it. So you got faculty, we don't have to cooperate. Administrators like, well, we don't have to give you stuff then. boards are like, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. President, you better still be moving this thing along in the right direction, and we need you to make sure that we're not written up in the paper, right? It's sort of sad, but most institutions don't want to be read about in the paper, except if they're best practices. But there's more because the media latches on to negative stories and exaggerates them. So I completely understand that. But at best, because of this focus on power, there really isn't collaboration going on. And what has to happen is these boundaries need to be broken down to achieve what would be real, more meaningful governance, shared governance. I think that we're just at the beginning stages of recognizing for the change to happen, administrators can't push it through. They need to find a way to engage their faculty in an authentic way. And I said that. Right?
Are you happy?
Are you happy to hear this?
I am. Yes. Here's what I think. As a faculty member, I absolutely know what you're saying there, and I think faculty really do genuinely believe they run the institution because they are the deliverer of the product unto the customer, right? That is the direct and tangible relationship that they have to that. And so there is a certain degree of power that they take, that we take as faculty members to believe that. And yet, I think I love your presentation of sort of the stool of managed constraints. Right, these three legs of the things you can't have, but I'm trying to put myself in a position of one of the many leaders that we have had on this show. Yeah. I'm trying to think what would the good Dr. Martin say from St. Andrews about how would he respond to this?
I love that you brought him up because he is a unique leader in my mind. And I know a number of unique leaders that really understand that they need to engage faculty. And what Dr. Martin does, what John Hurley from Canisius does, what other leaders do that I know, is they build trust. And in the absence of building trust with people who are not in their area, you can't make any change. And I think you're always going to have the challenge of what it means to meet the needs of a certain constituencies. And presidents are caught right in the middle because they're being told by their boards, we need you to move the institution in this direction. And they're being told by their faculty, this is what our needs are. And then they got all these financial constraints. So they're trying to incrementally not piss anybody off too much, right?
Right.
That's the way it is.
That's the way it is. And that's the thing that's a little bit, I feel like it's a little bit jarring hearing you say that, because I feel like there's a discussion around what we like to think is happening in our administrative ranks and what is really happening.
Wait, so say more about that.
What we like to think is happening in our collective ranks is that the board has graciously bestowed trust upon the leaders to do what they think is right, the president to do what he or she thinks is right, and the president is working with the team, the senior leadership team, who is operating from the perspective of bounty. That what we want everybody who is supporting the institution to support with a gracious and open heart. And what we get is, I think, in many institutions that haven't sort of made that leap to shared governance, to a sound kind of shared governance atmosphere, I think we get more of, politics.
What you just said is something that all institutions aspire to, right? Is that genuine being concerned about the other constituencies. I think it's important that we tell the truth about that. One, it's very hard to do that because the concerns are not the same. Faculty fundamentally don't care about the balance sheet, don't care about profit and loss. They are learning over time with the right kind of academic leadership that's an important thing, and they have control of their destiny. This design school conversation is, I looked at the faculty and said, listen, if you don't put some changes in place and convince your provost this is what we need to do, and then that gets rippled to the administration, you are letting administrators control your destiny. Your job, if you really want in some ways to be viable longer term, it's in your hands. Now, what's interesting about that comment is I think a lot of faculty are genuinely skeptical that they have the kind of influence to be able to put change in place that wouldn't get quashed because of some financial decision. And sometimes that's true. And sometimes a financial decision needs to trump an academic decision. But what we need to start with is coming together and understanding each other's concerns. And we don't do that enough. So anyone listening to this, whatever world you live in a higher ed space, the question I would ask you is, are you reaching across the aisle? In many ways, that's the role of the president. The president is finding ways to reach across the different aisles. But administrators have to get out of their seats and go to academic departments and sit down and say, you know what? I've never been over here. Tell me a little bit about what you're focusing on doing. I cannot tell you how much a faculty member would appreciate an administrator coming to their turf versus having to go to the administrator side.
Well, I think the same thing, the converse absolutely applies. I think when you look at the relationships that, Steve Fowle brings to the conversation as a leader in his a faculty leader at Loyola, you get that same sort of sentiment when a faculty member stands up and goes over to administration and says, hey, let's talk about what you're dealing with. I'll tell you, there's not a lot of receptivity. See, there's a presumption if the faculty show up on the administrator's side, it's because there's a problem. There's a problem. I know, that's the presumption. It's not because, you know what, we really value what you do, administrators, and we want to learn more about that. In some ways, the faculty don't have that time. That's not their focus. But that you just said it, right? You just said it. If they want to be long-term viable, there has to be some way, we look at this in our own institution with the faculty senate. Get involved with the faculty senate. You want to learn what's going on with administration? Get involved with your faculty senate.
Well, it's interesting. I know I work with some schools. Is the last place you want to get involved in is the faculty senate. If you want to have impact, because the faculty senate in some places run in a way to sort of, and this is true on administrative side too. Yeah, protecting turf.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Not about real, true representation of the broader academic side of the house.
No, I agree with that. I think there is something to be said.
That's the dilemma.
Yeah, there is the dilemma, but I think there is a recognition in a lot of best practice schools that the faculty senate is a functioning organization that is a great conduit to get information to and from the administration. I mean, that's certainly my experience with the Oregon system. It's a substantial system of many thousands of students and many universities, and the faculty senate is the conduit to do that. This is
right, and they have an opportunity to really demonstrate great leadership and forward thinking.
Yes, and whatever you say, if the faculty senate doesn't work, there has to be a channel that exists at your institution to demonstrate some involvement, that level of critical thinking and inquiry that you just said minutes ago is important in demonstrating long-term viability as a faculty member.
Absolutely. And what's interesting, Pete, for me is that I would imagine if some people are listening to this, they might be offended. What I would say to anybody that would dismiss this or be offended by any suggestions is that, to me, the only people that should be, if you're offended by any piece of this, then the thing to look at is there something you're doing or not doing? Because I think there are many more examples of people putting goodwill forward. And I'm not talking to those people, right? The people who are doing the good work and are really reaching across the aisles, I'm hoping they hear this and go, you know what? You're not talking to me. You're talking to people I know are not doing this. So I say this because, I think sometimes you can hear somebody say things like that I'm saying and think they're naive. And in fact, what I'm suggesting is anybody listening to this, whether you're on the administrative side, whether you're a board member, whether you are a faculty member, whether you're a president, does any of this ring true for you? And if it does, to me, this is a question of looking in the mirror. And how can you do a better job of moving towards authentic collaboration, which I think is key to moving your institution in the right direction? That's my only point.
I like those points, and I think if you are curious about this, and we've mentioned already George Martin and Steve Fowle, episodes 92 and 93. I think particularly 93 deals with the shared governance structure with Steve that I think is
Absolutely.
a really fascinating conversation, and I would recommend you go back and listen to that.
And Steve's a unique academic leader in that he espouses the importance of fiscal sustainability and fiscal prudence, and he's a theology guy. You know, he truly lives in the world of academics, and he understands the importance of what administration is trying to do. Those are the kind of academic leaders that will help move this needle.
I think so, yeah. This is a good conversation, Howard. I'm glad you brought this up.
You didn't know it was coming, did you?
No, you brought your A game today. I'm feeling good about
tried.
that. You did.
Yeah. A minus. Well, I'll take an A minus.
You should just, you don't want to show off too much. To everybody listening, thank you so much for downloading the show. Head over to TeibelInc.com, subscribe for free. You can engage with us on LinkedIn and Twitter right from there. And share the show if you enjoyed, if you're getting something out of it. We appreciate you sharing with your colleagues and peers and being a part of our community here. So, any final words, Howard? You're good?
I'm good. I think I'm tapped out, Pete.
Tapped out. I'm going to tap out. I'm done. Thanks, everybody. Until next week, on behalf of Howard Teibel, I'm Pete Wright. We'll catch you on Navigating Change, the podcast from Teibel Inc.